Introduction to Angora goat. Angora goat is historically known as Angora or Ankara kesisi in the Turkish language. It is a domestic breed of goats and they produce lustrous fiber called mohair. Mohair is a very popular fiber used in the garment industry for producing sweaters. One Angora sheep can produce 5 to 6 kilograms of mohair every year. Angora goats are not productive breeders, so they get easily prone to parasites because their coats are denser. Also, they are not tough and need extra care during their initial days of birth. They should be fed with high nutritional fodder for their rapid hair growth, because if they are provided a poor diet, the mohair production is impacted badly. They are very delicate during the starting period of birth and after shearing. Besides this, they cannot tolerate rain or cold temperatures. The product of Angora goat breeds is in heavy range in the United States. Also, they are available in most parts of South Africa. On this page, we will understand more about the Angora sheep, along with the habitat of the Angora goat in India. Also, we will have a look at some Angora goat information, such as Angora goat size. Along with the Angora goat characteristics, we will have a look at the interesting Angora goat facts. About Angora goat. Angora is well known for its fleece. These fleece-bearing goats, also known as a long-haired goat, were raised in Asia Minor till the 5th century BC. Some of these had long white fleece from which shiningly dyed fabrics were woven. These were named Angoras because these species were raised in the state of Angora, now Ankara, on the central Anatolian plains of Turkey. Please note that Angora resembles the sheep and they have a thick and curly coat similar to the sheep coat. Though an Angora goat resembles the goat, it is not popular for milk and meat production. It is chiefly raised for producing hairs for making woolen clothes. Angora goat origin. The Angora goat started in the area of Angora in Asia Minor. The Angora goes back to early biblical history. Notice is utilized mohair at the hour of Moses, which would fix the record of the Angora sometime somewhere in the range of 1571 and 1451 BC as per the Angora goat mohair industry distribution from USDA, Miscellaneous Bulletin 50, 1929. Angora goat historical facts. From the above text, we understand that an Angora goat is a breed of domestic goat. This breed originated in ancient times in the Angora district in Asia Minor. The Angora goat produces a silky coat, i.e. mohair, which is of commercial importance running various garment industries. Once Angora was imported into Europe by the mid-18th century, but the import wasn't successful. So, a century later, the animal was established in South Africa. This was the time the Western mohair industry developed. Following this, the Angora sheep were imported to the United States and the mohair production led to the development of industries centering in Texas and the Southwest. Do you know where is Angora goat found? If not, let's understand the places this species is found worldwide along with the Angora goat in India. Where is the Angora goat found? Angora goat breeding was initiated in Turkey close to Ankara, where the species got their name. Angora goat in India is found in Kashmir. The goats were traded to various nations by the 16th century. Early groups fizzled, prompting the conviction that Angoras could survive on the dry, cool Turkish levels. This has since been refuted. With appropriate administration, Angoras can be raised anyplace. During President James K. Polk's organization, 1845–49, the Sultan of Turkey mentioned the services of a cotton production export from the United States. Dr. James B. Davis of Columbia, South Carolina was sent. At the moment when he returned to the U.S. in 1849, he carried 9 decision goats with him, a blessing from the Sultan. These goats were the principal reported Angoras in the U.S. Angora goat specifications. The below list contains the Angora goat specifications, place of origin, district of Angora in Asia Minor. Breed type, fiber breed. Type of hair growth. The hair, mohair, fiber from a long-haired goat, is akin to coarse wool in fiber size and its appearance is solid white. Face, ear type, straight or marginally dished face, and ears that are weighty and hanging. Important traits, mohair production. Browsing ability. Angora goats are great consumers of browse and have the ability to graze as high as they can reach by standing on their high heels, legs. Meat production. Not as prolific as other breeding goats, more likely produces a single lamb than twins. Life expectancy or lifespan. Angora goats have a lifespan of over 10 years if they receive good care. Angora goat size. An Angora goat size is small as compared to dairy goats or sheep. An adult female Angora goat size is 36 inches and it weighs between 70 to 110 pounds, while an adult male Angora goat size is 48 inches and weighs 180 to 225 pounds, which is the maximum weight gained after 5 years of age. Angora goat size. An Angora goat size is small as compared to dairy goats or sheep. An adult female Angora goat size is 36 inches and it weighs between 70 to 110 pounds, while an adult male Angora goat size is 48 inches and weighs 180 to 225 pounds, which is the maximum weight gained after 5 years of age. Mohair quality. Mohair is a beautiful, shiny, strong fiber with exceptional qualities that make it as mainstream today as it was in biblical occasions, Exodus 26 verse 7 and Numbers 31:20. It is very sturdy with a delicate extravagant surface and special appearance. Mohair's trademark radiance separates it from any remaining normal fibers. Its brightness comes as a light-reflecting smooth surface of the filaments. Besides this, it is an adaptable all-year texture that is utilized in warm weaves for chilly climates just as lightweight mixes for warm climates. Alone or in mixes, mohair displays a marked look that is greatly pursued by buyers, hand spinners, and the design business. It is ideal for sweaters and extras and is utilized in everything from caps and covers to hairpieces and paint rollers. Quality mohair starts with a decent rearing system. The feeding management extraordinarily influences its value. Poor management prompts short, dull, lightweight wools. Outside parasites, particularly lice, ruin the presence of the wool, as does imperfection or plant matter in the wools. Mohair on the goat is dim or earthy colored, yet shearing uncovers the perfect fiber beneath the soil. Clean mohair is incredibly white and glistening. Shearing floors, sheds, and pens ought to be spotless and sufficiently bright. Shearer should attempt to eliminate the wool in one piece to help the arranging-evaluating measure. Angora goat information. The below list comprises the Angora goat information. Angoras are occasional raisers whose hair-delivering prerequisites call for high-nourishing requests to the detriment of reproductive efficiency. Angoras on local reach ought not to be reproduced until they are yearlings. They begin to cycle when days abbreviate in the fall. Their estrus cycle changes from 19 to 21 days and estrus or warmth endure around 22 hours. Incubation is by and large 150 days. Females that don't bring up children ought not to be saved for rearing. Proliferation breakdown is brought about by the inability to ovulate or cycle. Yearling does at rearing ought to gauge at least 65 pounds shorn, developed does 85 pounds or more. Please note that these species ought to be in acceptable condition and shorn before the reproducing season, and once shorn, ought to approach cover during the rainy or chilly climates. Goats abort more than different ruminants, and Angoras abort more than different goats. High fiber creation makes them more inclined to pressure. Early termination ordinarily happens at 85 to 120 days of incubation. Fetus removals come in two structures, stress and ongoing. Stress fetus removals happen in youthful or slight does. Synchronized fetus removals or early termination storms are set off when they are pushed, trailed by all at once early terminations 1 to 3 days after the fact. Ongoing aborters ought to be eliminated from the reproducing crowd, even does that abort from pressure ought to be considered for expulsion since they regularly abort once more. High fetus removal rate signal administration or natural issues. Child demise is the best misfortune in Angora groups. Hunters, cold pressure, starvation, and relinquishment by the mother are driving causes.
Time spent kidding Angora species pays off more often than it does with any other livestock species. The three principal types are confinement kidding, kidding in traps or small camp kidding, and kidding on the range. Repression kidding is labor-intensive. However, the endurance rates are extraordinary if owners contribute the sweat value for their feeling management. Smaller operators and registered breeders of costly animals frequently utilize this strategy, which typically consists of taking care of and kidding in pens. At the point when the doe conceives an offspring, the doe and her child are put in a container or little 4 feet by 4 feet. Shelter for 1 to 3 days while the doe and child bond. Fiber creation and proliferation are in direct rivalry. Lactation overrides fiber production in Angoras. To upgrade each of the three, makers should utilize supplemental feeding as an essential piece of Angora goat production because appropriate nutrition is the key to top Angora goat management. Angora goats, similar to cows and sheep, are ruminants. Goats are not metal can-eating foragers, particularly Angoras, who have high nourishing necessities. Thoroughbred Angoras will keep on delivering mohair until they starve to death. Unexpectedly, the fiber fineness improves with poor nutrition. However, the length and weight suffer. The way to great nourishment for goats on the field is adjusting the number of animals with the accessible search. This is classified as proper stocking rate. Goats peruse woody plants and forbs or weeds more than grass, which makes them ideal for brushy regions. At the point when fields are short, sheep, deer, and goats may seek food. The most ideal approach to stay away from this issue is to observe how much the goat's number one brush plants are perused. In the event that these plants are enduring, eliminate sufficient domesticated animals to stop the harm. Angoras have little body fat which suffers when pastures decline. However, if they are routinely fed corn, the complete cottonseed is most likely the better decision as to the best energy and protein supplement. Angora goat features. Angora goats produce huge amounts of fiber per unit of body weight. The 2 to 3.6 kilograms, 4.5 to 8 pounds, of mohair acquired with each trimming can significantly increment wholesome requests. Similarly, as with fleece, mohair creation can be improved with expanded energy consumption. In any case, protein seems to evoke to a greater degree an impact on mohair development than that on fleece development. Though cashmere wool gives off an impression of being just insignificantly influenced by dietary control, expanding dietary protein above necessities builds mohair volume and fiber diameter. Angora does take care of isocaloric eats less containing either 12% or 19% protein. An increment in grease fleece weight of roughly 0.57 kilograms, 1.25 pounds, and fiber measurement was noted with the higher protein intake. Mohair additionally contains plentiful measures of sulfur, so sulfur-containing amino acids are significant in Angora goat nutrition. Chi and coworkers demonstrated that the NRC recommended 10-to-1 nitrogen to sulfur proportion for maximal mohair creation might be on the low side and proposed that a ratio of 7.2, the first of may be more useful. Therefore, if NPN, non-protein nitrogen, is used as a protein source, sulfur supplementation is necessary. Angora goat feeding management. Growing Angora goats ought to get nourishing supplementation during late incubation and early lactation. Salt-restricted feeds can be utilized to control both energy and protein utilization under range conditions. Cottonseed or soybean supplement, or other protein sources, corn, and salt, non-iodized, non-mineralized, can be provided at a 3-to-1 proportion. The keeper ought to present the enhancement gradually, adding more white salt if the animals are over-consuming and diminishing salt in the event that they are under-consuming. This salt-restricted taking care of framework can be a viable method to build energy and protein admission for range took care of goats and potentially sheep. Cautious admission observing is significant. Sufficient asylum ought to be given to fiber-creating creatures, especially youthful creatures, and Angora goats that have recently been sheared. In late winter or pre-winter, creatures might be defenseless to cold pressure for up to about a month subsequent to shearing. The arrangement of safe houses or windbreaks and an extra 0.23 to 4.5 kilograms, 0.5 to 1 pound, per day of an energy supplement, broken corn, over the typical feeding routine can help limit freezing and stress misfortune. Angora goat facts. The Angora goat is regarded as the direct descendant of the Central Asian markhor, also known as Capra falconeri. Also, it is believed that they resided in the region since around the Paleolithic. Till the time period of 1938 to 1952, these species were displayed on the reverse of the Turkish 50 lira banknotes. The price of an Angora goat isn't a big deal. In fact, it only costs between $300 to $350 per animal as a rule in the U.S. Mohair is the most expensive fiber when compared to a standard sheep's wool because the production process involved is lengthy, and as a result, it is considered a luxury fiber, akin to cashmere or Angora. Mohair turned into an important fiber in commerce in the starting 19th century. To have maximum supplies of mohair accessible to be exported to the European nations, the Turks crossed the Angora goat with normal stock to expand the poundage of saleable hair. Likely there were no efforts to keep the original Angora independent, and the overall expansion in size and power of the goats in the Angora region was uncertain, mostly the consequence of this infusion of other blood. Angora stock was dispersed to various nations, and a couple of Angoras was imported to Europe by Charles V around 1554. In 1765 an importation was made by the Spanish government, and after 20 years an impressive number were brought into France. However, none of these imports was fruitful in setting up mohair production. Then again, Angoras were taken to South Africa in 1838, and from this importation and later importations, mohair production was set up in that country. The Union of South Africa is one of the 3 driving mohair delivering areas on the planet and is surpassed underway exclusively by the United States and Turkey. Conclusion: Angora goats are not productive, like other goats, and most of the time they manage to reproduce an individual goat. Among the large band of these species, only 60 to 70% manage to give birth to twins. However, under proper care and nutrition, the pace of reproduction may reach near to 100% rate. Angora flocks at kidding time or at a shearing time are very delicate to stormy weather and chilly climates. Therefore, young goats need protection and extra care during the first few days of their birth. Though adult goats are sturdy when in full hair, they cannot tolerate cold, wet rains immediately after shearing. Also, storms can cause huge losses in mohair production.